All right, guys, this is going to be a very detailed and comprehensive introduction to the War Thunder and its mechanics and interfaces of how to get started, how to get into games. That's pretty easy. You got vehicles here, you press to battle, and you're good to go. But there's more to it, obviously. We're going to start off with what you see right in front of you. All right, you're going to be presented with a bunch of tabs, which might seem overwhelming at first, but it's super easy. You're not going to use anything besides this for the most part and this. Everything else will come naturally in by itself and with time, and you don't need time. Within a day, you can be fully capable of understanding the game. All right, yeah. First, most importantly, your vehicles and your countries that you're going to pick down here. You're going to get to choose a country that you want to start with, and you will choose it. So, for example, you choose USA. You'll automatically get a reserve aircraft. This goes with any country. Reserve vehicles are free, and they are given to you so that you can start your journey, if you want to call it. That's what I feel like. I've been playing this game for 8 years, I believe, since 2014. And they gave me this cool little thing called Faithful Warrior. Joined the game in 2014 or earlier. So there you go. Not playing. I mean, lying. Playing a lot though. Yeah. So you'll get a reserve plane, and you'll have one here. So let's see. If I go to a country I've never used, like China, you see, this is what yours would probably look like: a reserve plane, a reserve tank, already on here. And if it's not, and if you want to change it, and you will change it eventually, all you got to do. There's no other reserve planes here. I'll send this one to Holiday. So what you do is you choose your airplane or your tank. Same goes for any type of vehicle. You click choose a crew, and you choose a crew. Reserve planes will not charge you for a crew. Every other plane you unlock, you'll have to pay to crew it, and you can unlock a maximum of 5 slots before you have to use Golden Eagles. You're not going to need more than 5 slots unless you really get bored or you're bad and get killed a lot in battle. But yeah, you're going to have your reserve vehicles and you're going to put them here. And after you put them here, that's the basics. That's the most basic part of it. You can click the type of battle you want to go on, that little drop down right here. You can choose your servers here if you want specific servers, so you get better ping and less packet loss. Air Arcade. What is Air Arcade? Air Arcade is just battles specifically for aircraft where you get your ammo replenished in midair. I believe fuel as well, and you can respawn multiple times, no problem. And you kill airplanes, and there's different objectives you got to do. Those maps are smaller, and it's a lot fast paced. Imagine Fortnite type status. Air realistic is what it sounds like. It's realistic. So you take off from your runway, unless you're in a bomber, it'll already spawn you at a certain altitude because it would be, I guess, more realistic that you're already at certain altitude because bombers are slow. And you take off, you die, you cannot respawn. You need to refuel, repair, rearm. You have to go land. The physics, most importantly, I forgot to mention that the aircraft physics are going to be substantially different. In Air Arcade, it's going to be super arcadey, as the name implies. You'll be able to boom and zoom left and right, no problem. And Air Realistic, no, it'll be the physics will be a lot more real on the aircraft. You can break your wings if you go too fast. You can break your landing gear, your flaps. If you pop them out at wrong speeds, too fast, too slow. Slow won't be a problem. Too fast will. So same with ground battles. Ground Arcade, you'll have a name pop up of the enemy tanks, enemy planes, and you'll be able to see them as soon as they're within line of sight. And tanks will move a lot more nimbly, not realistic to its stats from real life, and things like that. There's other little details that you'll figure out, but that's the basics. Ground realistic, a lot more real. The terrain has a lot more impact on your vehicle. The gun moves a lot differently. The bullet drop and everything It all takes into account when you're playing. Even though there's bullet drop in Arcade 2, the fact that your turret moves so slow and you gotta aim quickly, all that gets affected. In ground battles, you can take airplanes and helicopters if you're at that stage, but you don't gotta worry about that right now. But you can take your aircraft. So, for example, if I click ground realistic, I can take this tank and this tank out with me to a ground battle, and if I die, and if I have spawn points, which are just points given to you off the bat, and you spend them, there's like money. You spend them to spawn a vehicle. That's why they call it spawn points, SP. Once you spawn in, say this costs 100 spawn points, and you get 500. Now you have 400, and if you die, the next vehicle they go up in price for spawn points, so that people aren't just spawning left and right willy nilly like Call of Duty. And with those spawn points, you can spawn aircraft. Putting bombs on your aircraft will cost spawn points too. So you might not have enough spawn points to take bombs, but all that isn't really an issue. That's only when you're on the verge of not having enough spawn points, but usually it's not that big of a difference. It's like a 50 spawn point difference. So yeah, naval, same thing as air arcade, air realistic. For naval, you can take your aircraft with you and use them in the game. For ground arcade, you cannot take your own vehicles, I believe. Yeah, you see how this is blacked out. You cannot take your own aircraft into ground arcade, but ground realistic you can. Ground arcade will provide vehicles for you. Uh, Imagine like Call of Duty. You know, your kill streaks. Your kill streaks are aircrafts. There's not much to it. There's that. So, uh, naval arcade, naval realistic, kind of the same jazz. Simulator battle, it's its own kind of beast. There is two different types of simulator battles, and you can access them by clicking here. I'll bring you to the events and tournament tab, which you can also access from here. There's air simulator battles, and this is a bunch of rooms that have something called enduring battles. So enduring confrontation. These are just really long battles. They can come in and come out, and players can come in and out, and y'all can help each other out win the game. So yeah, so you pick a plane, and it's gonna have a battle rating, and the battle rating will define what battle you can get into. For example, for this battle rating 1, there's only one match right now going, and it's battle rating 1 to 2, and here's the teams. If there's too many people on one side, you may not be able to join. But if that's your thing, that's your thing. And that's the basics. Yeah. You have your tree. You choose your vehicles. You put them in here, and you choose what you want to do. So, something else is how to research, right? So, say you're starting off with the Chinese tree. I'm just going to use this as an example since I don't have anything on here. It automatically starts you researching one of the vehicles. So, if you don't like the vehicle it's researching, for example, if I don't want to research the M3A3 Stewart, I will click the Chiha, for example, research. So now all the research that I gain at a ground battle, ground realistic battle, you're not going to earn research from air combat towards your tanks in Air Arcade. You can earn some, very, very minor, if in a ground battle, if you help win the game or help progress the game, the match towards winning or just a closer victory or defeat, you will get some more spawn points, some more, sorry about that, research points overall. But this does not affect this. Tank affects tanks. Plane affect plane. Okay. So when you go into a match and you come out, it'll give you a screen of how it went, all the research points. For example, if I go to this little messages and I go to battles, these are the last couple of battles I've done. For example, defeat in military exercise preparation. That's the name of the match. I was playing air realistic battle with the Swedish. So this is how it went. I came out with 5,366 research points towards this aircraft, which I am researching, and I came out with 9,300 silver lines and 5,300 exchangeable research points. They're called convertible research points. I have 17 million because I don't use golden eagles to convert my research point. Some people say this game is play to win. It really isn't. Does it help a lot? Yes, but here's a catch 22 on it. Yes, I can use golden eagles to boost my research, so I don't have to research it. But you're going to use your convertible RP research points. And if you don't, when you're new or when you're starting, you don't have this, so you're not going to be able to buy your way to the end. I have obviously a lot because I use premium now, but I haven't used it for the 8 years I've been playing. I've rarely ever used it. I just decided to finally buy some, and I bought 90 days of it, and I have 100 spare golden eagles. But anyways, back to the topic. Yeah, you choose your vehicle to research, and you plop it on here. You plop your other vehicle on here that you're playing with, and you'll research. So if I go into a match and make 1,000 research points in ground RB, it's going to go towards that tank. Now, if I use a plane in ground RB, I will get RB is realistic battles, ground realistic battle. So if I use a plane and tanks in a realistic ground battle, I will earn for both as long as I wasn't useless. So the points I made using the plane will go towards my plane. Same thing, you can choose what aircraft to research. Something else to note about crews, you might note that if you right click on any vehicle that you have in a crew, you get all these options. And there's the crew option. Here's where you upgrade this specific crew. Each slot is a crew. Imagine this is a set of people on here. This is a, what the name implies, a crew, and what the picture implies, a crew. Certain people with certain experience. For example, the crew experience points on here, it's 19 for this first crew. For this one, it's 4 because I've only played 1 or 2 battles with the Chinese. So with these 19 points, I can allocate them towards any of these stats for the driver, the gunner, commander. So just imagine like real life, you get good at certain things and certain people are better at it, and you decide. It's very detailed, very easy to understand because you can just read, hover over other things, and it tells you what they do. And yeah, so for example, if I want my loader to start loading a little faster, I would give him some points. The grayed out area is how much you can do, so I can do that, and it'll be 0.5 more out of the 5 blocks. And I click apply, and now my loader will be just a little bit faster. So same thing goes with everything on here. You can read and up qualifications. Here's where you can pay silver lines that you earn in matches to give it an extra boost and things. Pretty much it's self-explanatory. And yeah, that's the crew system, right? You choose a vehicle, you put it in a crew. So yeah, what I like to do, what I recommend, here's my recommendation is when you start off, this is perfect to do when you start off the bat. This is big brain stuff, okay? What you're going to want to do is don't put your airplanes near your tanks on these crew slots or flip them around. For example, I'm going to remove this tank from here. I'm going to remove this airplane from here. And I'm going to put this aircraft where that tank was. But now, if I want to crew another tank, right? Say, never mind, I do want to put that tank back on there. You're going to have to put it somewhere else, obviously. But this crew might not have any experience towards it. It might be all zeroed out like this. But this crew will have some more points on it, for example. And this goes for every vehicle. Every tank you have on here, it'll pass on. So I can keep adding points here, and if I'm down here, for example, at this T-34, and I have a T-34 on here, it won't matter. The crew will still have its experience. For example, here I have a crew rank of 92 for this tank crew, and a crew of 45 for this aircraft. But if I switch this to a vehicle, say this, now the crew points change 37. You have imagine you have different types of crews in each crew slot. You have an airplane crew, you have a tank crew. So This is my most experienced crew for tanks. This second one right here. My mistake that I was telling you that I did was I put aircraft on this crew. And it costs money to crew them. But for example, if you're trying to crew more expensive vehicles, it makes a difference. It will make a big difference. So for example, if I were to crew a vehicle I've never used like this one on certain crews, it'll cost 48,000 lions just to crew it. This is its original crew, but look at that. 2% or 2 stars, I guess you can call it, on crew experience. The tank's going to be so much less efficient than if I put them on here. And that is a big tip. Keep your planes and your tanks on the same crew slots. For example, my Swedish tree. I just started this tree recently and I put that into place. These first 2 are for ground. These last 2 are for air. This middle one, I guess I can do whatever I want with it. I usually just put an anti-aircraft on there if I want to go into ground battles. So that is the very basics, and you can come back to this video if you forget things, because you will, and I'm going to keep explaining. I'm just going to keep talking and explain the basics. So yeah, once you understand that, once you understand how the crew experience works, for example, look at this crew. Once you understand how the crew experience works and putting crews on there, say I want to go into a ground realistic battle, I would just click battle and it would throw me into a battle. Alright, that's that. Now I'm going to go into the basics of using combat, right? And good advice I can give you. So any vehicle you have that's not red, like this, any vehicle literally in the tech tree, like all these premium vehicles, or all these vehicles I have unlocked, or even vehicles I don't have unlocked, you'll be able to test drive any vehicle as long as it's not red. And they're red when the vehicle previous to that has not been purchased by you or researched. So we're going to test drive this M2A4. Right click on here and click test drive. You can click what kind of test drive you want: arcade, realistic, simulator, or custom. I'm not going to go into that, but I'm just going to click realistic. Or I'll click arcade since most of you are going to play arcade. How many rounds you want to bring, what type of rounds, and what they do. I will go into detail explaining all the different types of rounds, angles, and everything else that matters right after this test drive, because you'll just get overwhelmed and bored by all this information because you want to go play. So I'll do that after I show you the test drive. Then you can come back to this. So we click alright. And we're going to pop in there. Look at that beautiful screenshot with those F4. Here you are on your test drive. That's an airplane. This is an arcade. And you can shoot aircraft with your coaxial and machine guns and stuff. I use the space bar, which is default. Something else about arcade is I'll tell you where you can penetrate vehicles. This is how you're going to learn where to penetrate vehicles, but there is a tool back in the hangar that can tell you all of this, or just experience. It will also tell you in arcade the bullet drop. You see, so if I aim there, it tells me that the bullet's going to hit the white marker. So if I want to hit that Ferdinand, I would have to aim it there because of the bullet drop. You can tell that if I move my aiming reticle up or down, it'll change the drop. So to hit this vehicle, I just hit it there. If I want to hit it in a turret, put it there. And if it's red, it means it's not going to penetrate because of a weird angle or something. For example, here, it's going to bounce if you look at the animation. And yeah, if it's yellow, it might penetrate. So let's see here if we can find a yellow spot on here. That vehicle is all red everywhere. But yes, you get the point on there. So how do you kill tanks? You're gonna ask. Well, this is a realistically based system, so it's not a point system like World of Tanks, for example. Here, you have to kill the crew members inside the tank. Once the crew members are dead, up to one. Can't have one person in a vehicle functioning. They tried that one time where you can have one guy switching from gunner to driver, and it didn't work very well. So, one crew member left, that's all it takes to kill him. So, for example, in this vehicle, there are 2 crew members left, and they are red, so they're damaged colors, right? Red is bad, green is good, stuff like that. Yellow is alright, but a good crew member will be gray like this. Injured crew members will be a darker color, starting from yellow all the way to red and black. I mean, black means they're dead. So, for example, you can have 1 dead crew member, 2 dead crew members, however many you can have before you have 1 left over. So if we go to this tank, I just killed 2 of the crew members, and you can see from the 3D animation there was only 1 left in the turret. So the tank is inoperable. So there's many ways you can kill the crew members. Now that's different. You can shrapnel, explosives, and machine gun fire if they're exposed crew members. So, for example, for this Panther, you see, I shot its ammo rack, and if I can make the ammo explode. Components work the same way as crew members. You can damage any component in a vehicle, and it will be inoperable. For example, I damaged its fuel tank. It's not going to run out of fuel. Fuel is not an expendable material in ground, because that'd just be really useless and annoying. But yeah, for example, if I shoot the engine of this Panzer, I missed the engine and I killed 2 crew members, but I did damage the engine. His engine is now red, which means it's still functioning, but really, really badly functioning, and he can repair it. Now it's black. The engine is now black in his screen, like on my screen it's gray. And same thing goes for any component. Your turret drive, your cannon breech, your elevation mechanics that you can tell in there, the elevation, the horizontal turret drive, your machine guns can be damaged, your gun barrel can be damaged, your breech can be damaged, and the breech is where the bullets go in. Transmission, right there in the front, and your tracks. You can damage your radio and your periscopes and your viewports as well, and same thing, they have to be damaged over a certain point to be able to repair them. So if we go back to this Panther, for example, here's yellow. It means it might penetrate, might not. No, nothing. Try again, nothing. We hit it more right here, where it's more flat. It does. So it uses something called volumetric armor of the game, which is pretty super cool. This game pretty much has its own physics computer involved when it comes to armor, and how you can penetrate, and what angles, and how the stuff bounce, and if it's a partial penetration, for example, these 2, the bullet is literally stuck in the armor. It did not bounce. Here they went through, and then there are also bounces, which won't make the bullet do anything but bounce. As you can tell, your 3 different types of damages. Now there's another one that can happen with squash, or it can happen with these partial penetrations, where armor inside of the tank breaks off, even though there was not a full penetration. Fragments go flying and hurt the tank crew members, or tank components. So there's a round called squash rounds that are specifically meant to do that. They will explode. They will like mold themselves to the armor, quickly explode, and make the explosion break the armor inside and damage your crew members. You can damage barrels. For example, his barrel is not orange. It means that if he fires, it's gonna break. But if it's yellow, he might be okay. Now it's dark red. It's for sure gonna be unusable. And now it's so dark red. Now it's black. As you can tell, it is fully unusable now. Now he has to repair before he fires, or else he can't do anything to anybody. There's his machine gun. That's broken. Now he can't use that machine gun. You get the point. That's how damage works. You have to kill the crew members. In an open tank where it's like a convertible kind of car, there'll be a lot more physics involved. So, for example, rounds that enter and explode won't do much damage because they're not in an enclosed area like most tanks. For example, this round that I'm using will only penetrate and not do much. It's like a needle. Just goes through straight like a needle going through a loaf of bread. And you're trying to kill the crew members inside. Yeah, that's your basic how to kill tanks. How to do anything.